Hey, welcome, folks, to this edition of the 700 Club. I'm pleased to welcome Wendy back from the toils of Haiti.
My first time in that beautiful island nation. Well, did you know they have huge mountains there? Did you know they have some of the highest mountains in the Caribbean?
No, I didn't.
I was shocked.
It's beautiful.
It was beautiful. Yeah. I was with a group called Cross Catholic, and they do a program called the Joy Box. We stayed at an orphanage, Pat. There are so many orphans, economic orphans in Haiti. Their parents might be alive, but they simply can't feed them, can't put them through school, so they drop them off at the orphanage. But the people, they're so resilient. They're still recovering from Hurricane Matthew.
They're beautiful people. They really are.
And we're there too. CBN, of course, is there.
Big time. Operation Blessing has got a huge stuff going down there. But that's good. I'm glad you were there. They've had all kinds of disease. You know, there was a UN troop that brought in that terrible virus, and they'd never had it before, and they polluted the water. And I mean, it's constant suffering.
Yeah, you see the UN trucks everywhere in Port-au-Prince.
Yeah, well,
we landed in Port-au-Prince, but then we took a bus like 3 hours down along the coast. It took a while to get down there, but
well, you know, it was so beautiful when you think about it. Napoleon was willing to trade the whole Louisiana Purchase for Haiti.
Wow, I mean, it is gorgeous.
Really, I mean, that was his choice. He said, "Okay, I'll sell you all that stuff that you've got on the Mississippi, the Louisiana Purchase. I'll sell you all that. I want to keep Haiti."
Yeah, I don't blame him.
So Haiti was so wealthy.
I mean, no offense to Louisiana. I got a lot of friends down there.
Well, they had all that sugar, they had everything, but they got little or nothing now. It's desperate. But I'm glad you're back, and you didn't get sick. You didn't catch any of those diseases.
No, it was nice and hot there. We ate well. Great food down there.
Well,
it was fun.
Well, you know, the war on coal, the President Obama decided he wanted to destroy the coal industry, so he set out to do it. Thousands of jobs at risk, probably billions of dollars worth of economic value wiped out by the stroke of the Obama pen. Well, a new sheriff is in town, and he says, no, there's a new era. I'm going to make good on my campaign promise. I'm going to revive the coal industry, and I will bring back jobs to West Virginia.
Hallelujah. Can I say hallelujah? Well, despite their failure last week, both the president and Republicans in Congress say they're looking for a way to repeal and replace Obamacare. Ephraim Graham has the story.
With today's executive action, I am taking historic steps to lift the restrictions on American energy, to reverse government intrusion, and to cancel job-killing regulations.
And with the stroke of a pen, President Donald Trump signed a sweeping executive order to roll back most of President Obama's climate change legacy. The order calls for a review of the Clean Power Plan, which restricts greenhouse gas emissions at coal-fired power plants, and strikes rules mandating climate change be considered in federal policy making. It does not address the 2015 Paris climate change deal to cap greenhouse gas emissions. During the campaign last year, Trump accused President Obama of waging a war on coal. The White House says the measure will produce new coal mining jobs, but the president's critics question just how many, and environmental groups are promising to fight the president's actions in court. Still, the Trump administration is pushing forward with the president's ambitious agenda.
If you guys give me a reason to recuse myself, I might consider it.
Even in the face of ongoing pressure and questions about ties between President Donald Trump's associates and Russia, something the White House denies.
There is no connection. You've got Russia. If the president puts Russian salad dressing on his salad tonight, somehow that's a Russian connection.
And despite Republicans' failure to pass their health care bill last week, the president remains hopeful he will get a health care bill through Congress. But after that failure, as House Speaker Paul Ryan put it,
Obamacare is the law of the land. It's going to remain the law of the land until it's replaced.
But Ryan says Republicans have not given up on repealing and replacing Obamacare. Ryan says the various Republican factions who split over the bill last week are talking with each other. He told reporters, quote, "We are all going to work together and listen together until we get this right. It's just too important." Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Thanks, Ephraim. I advise the president, and I think others are too, wait till fall. The premiums are going to go up dramatically on people's health insurance. The deductibles are going to rise dramatically on people's health insurance. The cost of small businesses because of Obamacare is going to be crippling. A hue and cry across the nation is going to be deafening. And all of a sudden, those Democrats who are laughing now at the president are going to have to eat their words because they own it. They own the whole thing. It is a Democrat initiative. They put it through without Republican votes. They have not voted in any shape or form for repeal. And now they're going to be stuck with what they've got. And if the president's got any sense, and I'm sure he's got plenty of it, he's going to sit back and let the thing fall of its own weight till fall, and then wait for the cry from out in the hustings, and he'll say, I'm now hearing the cry of the people, and we're going to get this job done. And at this point, they need a complete overhaul. They need to forget what the Senate will do or not do. They're going to say, look, here's the deal. We're going to take away all those mandates. We're going to take all those restrictions away. We're going to completely repeal Obamacare. And we will put in place a bill that meets the needs of all the people. And then they'll take it to the Senate. And if the Democrats in the Senate want to block it, then from that point on, the people will look and they say, these are the ones who voted to bring these onerous regulations back on us. That's smart politics. Let's see if they do it. Well, the president has also taken his heat to his plans to cut government spending. But some people in Washington think those spending cuts could even go deeper. John Jessup has this.
Well, Pat, how about getting rid of entire federal departments and government agencies? Those are some of the recommendations being proposed as the government adds to the growing national debt every year. Paul Strand has the story.
We spend money like it's M&Ms.
Economist Stephen Moore advised Donald Trump during the presidential campaign to make huge cuts and save taxpayers money if he won the White House.
Their tax dollars, when they're wasted, that's stealing from taxpayers.
That's why Moore says he would wipe out the entire Department of Education, the wasted money, and the fact it has no constitutional business in the education field.
Education is a state and local responsibility. We don't want the federal government sticking its finger in all these state and local decisions on schools. We spend $50 billion a year at the federal level on education spending, and that's bureaucrats down the street from here.
Very expensive bureaucrats, says Kentucky Congressman Tom Massey, who's sponsoring a bill to kill the Department of Ed and their jobs.
There are 4,500 bureaucrats here in Washington, D.C. that make an average of $105,000 apiece. That's over twice the average teacher's salary in Kentucky.
Since states and local districts already take care of education, he says a federal department is redundant and unnecessary.
When I started school as a youngster in public school in Kentucky, there wasn't a Department of Education, yet education existed.
And that's not the only cabinet-level department Massey and Moore would kill. Both would get rid of the Department of Energy.
You know, our energy policy should be two words: free market. We don't need to have government choosing one form of energy over another.
Massey says don't even tax Americans for such departments.
I mean, a lot of it's spent on the bureaucracy. We would be better off not even collecting those taxes and bringing them to Washington, D.C.
Massey is also co-sponsoring a bill to wipe out the Environmental Protection Agency, though he's quite the green believer himself.
I live off the grid. My house is powered with solar panels. Yet people think because I want to eliminate a federal bureaucracy, I'm against the environment. That couldn't be further from the truth. I'm for freedom, and I'm for allowing people to make personal decisions.
But the congressman is offended by the waste and overreach of the EPA.
Running around, writing their own laws. They have their own police force. They buy weapons and ammunition.
Moore points out just getting rid of the vast redundancies across the federal government could save a ton of money.
Did you know there are 56 different job training programs in Washington? There are 48 special education programs. Why not consolidate them, put them under one roof? That's what a business would do.
Both Massey and Moore point out Washington has no authority to do much of what it does with these bureaucracies.
You could make an argument that my friend Walter Williams makes, one of our great economists, who says two-thirds of what the government does isn't even sanctioned in the U.S. Constitution, which means it's unconstitutional.
And the present power structure in Washington might be the first in decades to do something about it.
Many bureaucrats are probably shaking in their boots, knowing that this businessman president, paired with both a Republican House and Senate, may actually be ready to shrink government rather than see it grow. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Capitol Hill.
Thanks, Paul. And Pat, as you said at the top of the show, there's a new sheriff in town.
Well, he's going to write up some of them bad hombres and put them in the stockade. You know, that Department of Education, I mean, if you go back in history, where did it come from? Well, when Jimmy Carter was running for president, the majority, at least a substantial block of the delegates, the Democratic National Convention, were from the the Education Union. And so in order to placate them, he said, I will give you a special department of government, the Department of Education. And they funded it initially with $10 billion. That number, I think, has grown to somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 90 billion. Reagan tried to do away with it, others have, but it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what's being proposed is do away with the whole blessed thing. And what was said, education is very well done in the states. Why do we need a federal bureaucracy? We don't. Same thing with the Department of Energy. You don't need it. It used to be off the grid, now it's back on. I mean, so you can go down the list of all the terrible things that are being done in Washington that waste billions and billions of your dollars and run the debt up to the $20 trillion level. We've got to do something about it. So sooner or later, I know that, you know, as one friend of mine said, when the pigs start to squeal, turn up the grease. They're squealing like crazy because all those jobs are at stake. You're looking at over $100,000 a piece with all those jobs. Of course they're going to squeal, but they've got to be done away with. It's just one of those things that's got to be done. Well, there's something else coming up, and it looks like that the majority leader of the Senate is going to be faced with a choice. Harry Reid, when he was majority leader, did something that was, he pulled what was called the nuclear option in order to jam through the Senate a whole lot of left-wing court judges from the actually not the lower courts, but the appellate court level. And he put a whole bunch of them in office over the objections of the Republicans because they were not allowed to filibuster. It was a strictly majority rule. They call it the nuclear option. Well, it looks like Chuck Schumer of the Democrats has been screaming, I'm going to filibuster. Well, if he filibusters, then Mitch McConnell is going to have to say, nuclear option, bang. And if that happens, that means that the way will be open for all the other judges that President Trump wants to put in. And we've got several openings when they come. It means he can put into the court. I think the next one is going to be a very fine jurist. It's on the top of the list, and there'll be others beside. But we're going to have a revolution in the courts. And if the Democrats insist on filibustering, insist on this kind of obstruction as on a man like Gorsuch, what would they do for somebody else? Well, John has that story.
Pat, as you were saying, the stage is set for what appears to be a Senate showdown over the president's Supreme Court nominee, Judge Neil Gorsuch. The vote has been scheduled for April 7th, but more than half of Senate Democrats oppose Gorsuch's nomination. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says it'll be an uphill climb for the judge to get the 60 votes he needs to be confirmed. That could mean the Senate Republican leadership would have to invoke what's called the nuclear option, allowing Gorsuch to be confirmed with just a simple majority. Republicans say they don't want it to come to that, but they'll do so if necessary. Well, the two pro-life activists who produced undercover videos involving Planned Parenthood have been charged with 15 felonies in California for privacy violations over their secret recordings and for using fake identities. David Daleiden and Sandra Merritt face a felony count for each person they secretly recorded and another felony charge for criminal conspiracy. The action comes 8 months after similar charges were dropped in Texas. While California's Attorney General says the pair violated privacy laws, Daleiden's Center for Medical Progress calls the charges bogus, adding that they will show unreleased videos of Planned Parenthood's, quote, criminal baby parts enterprise. Well, every year Israeli archaeologists dig up thousands of artifacts, but where do they go after scientists study them? CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell found the answer.
This is the place where, at the end of the day, all archaeological findings in the country come to rest.
CBN News got a rare look at just a part of many artifacts, such as large water jugs, like the ones filled with water Jesus turned into wine.
We here see an assemblage related to the period of the life of Jesus. Vessels common in the houses of the Jewish society in Jerusalem, combining limestone vessels, large vessels, small vessels, different vessels, and ceramics.
Every year there are something like 30 to 40,000 new artifacts. We are conducting around 300 excavations per year.
Archaeologist Gidon Avni says those excavations over the last 20 to 30 years have greatly increased our knowledge about life during the time of Christ.
We can reconstruct today what happened to an average person during the time of Christ, from the minute of his birth till his burial.
One rare find is this stone from a synagogue at Magdala, home to Mary Magdalene, where Jesus could have preached. And there's more. Recently, archaeologists found 9 ancient copper coins where workers were widening the main road between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
These coins show one of the major aspects of Christian pilgrimage to the Holy Land, where tens of thousands of people were coming from all over the known world of this time. All of them coming to follow the footsteps of Christ, using the road system climbing to Jerusalem.
Although archaeologists hesitate to say their work proves the Bible, they maintain it provides evidence of life during biblical times.
If you're speaking about New Testament, so archaeology very much reinforces the narrative and descriptions of the Gospels, providing physical evidence.
And if you can't make the trip to Israel, Avni says you can soon go online to see these artifacts tell the story of the land of the Bible. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And Pat, bringing the stories of the Bible to life.
Wonderful. When I was there some years ago, I was given a luncheon by the then Prime Minister. I guess he was at that time. I think he was the Foreign Minister or Defense Minister. And they gave me a vase. And it's from 1800 BC, the same time of Abraham. And it could be Abraham could actually have used it. So I mean, it's so precious. I don't want to bring it out. It's so beautiful. But it's 1800 BC.
I would have been afraid to put that on the airplane.
Well, I'm afraid to put it anywhere that it might fall and break. But I mean, I now realize what a repository they have of these beautiful things.
Now I really want to see it, though, Pat. I really want to see it.
One day I'll bring it out so you can see it. But from the days of Abraham. All right.